Time to talk about hope, and specifically we're talking about a project in the Bronx, because after a series of tragic events in the Bronx earlier this year, a retired teacher there wanted to bring some hope to her community. She reached out to an artist spreading positivity and asked him to shine a light on the Bronx. The hopeful project started with just a single lighted sculpture in Portland, Maine, an illuminated word promoting much-needed optimism. This artwork by Charlie Hewitt has appeared in places across the Northeast and is now on view in the Bronx. Lisa Watkins says the message could not have come at a better time.
As a Bronx native, I love my borough. I love the people of my borough. I think we're caring, we're loving, and to see such tragedy back to back to back was a bit much to handle. And so I just, said, being hopeful is something that we could all use in a time of crisis.
Digital hopeful signs are now on display at several Bronx subway stops. The idea is to uplift and inspire New Yorkers during their day-to-day routines. We know in the Bronx there have been shootings and other crimes, and we know what's going on after yesterday in Brooklyn. Now we have Charlie Hewitt. He created the hopeful and signs and hopes to expand the project. But let's get this straight, Charlie. You're a painter, you're a printmaker, you're a public artist, as we see here, a sculptor. How did this original idea come up for Hopeful?
It was like a serendipity. I was invited to put a piece of sculpture on top of a building here in Portland, an arts building called Speedwell Projects. And we live in a dark state, this Maine. And it's a lot of dark times in the winter. And this came to me in November. So I figured I wanted to put something up there. And I had the ability to as well, because I've been working with light sculpture, to put something up bright and meaningful. And it was kind of a dark time for me in politics and in my time and my feelings about the country. But I just wanted to put up something strong, proactive, and would force me personally out of my narrative and into something strong and forceful and future. I talk about the future.
When you speak of serendipity, so here's Lisa contacting you. That also, I mean, just imagine if she had not. That was just such a great connection.
Yeah, Lisa's exactly what an artist is looking for in their lives. An audience that really can touch, you can touch and get a response back from. As a painter, I could sell a painting to somebody and I rarely ever get a message. I mean, this is a kind of thing that's grown outside of my understanding of art. It's teaching me something about community and humanity and feelings and compassion. So when Lisa reached out to me through email, I looked at it and I knew right away that this was an angel I had to respond to. This is something that has to be done. And there are sometimes people who ask and you have to address it. My heart goes out to the Bronx. And I wanted to contribute somehow.
We know you're from this area. It says very special meaning in your heart. What happened in Brooklyn, there were a lot of angels there yesterday helping those who were injured after the shooting on that N train. I mean, just think now of seeing those hopeful signs as well. The meaning, I mean, it's endless then, aren't they?
Yes, and the truth is the vehicle is interesting too. There are 30-foot signs on top of buildings, but in the metropolitan region, when I started putting up the billboards, I realized the subways are the corridors that the working people, my kind of people, and my life, I've carried myself through those passages to work that people go through every day to feed their families, to nurture themselves and their lives. Their communities are surrounded by those stairs going down into those tunnels. And I saw that billboard possibility and I had to go for it.
Wow.
I just had to illuminate that space. And just really quickly, because for me, the Bronx suffered the worst during the virus, because these are the people who got up every morning and went and did services for us, did every kind of service, fed us, cleaned, did everything that we needed done. They came home and they brought the disease back with them. They didn't have cars. They didn't have a summer place. They had to go to work.
Yeah. And they helped us. They took care of people as they're struggling to take care of their own families. You touched on this a little bit about what was going on inside you. And I was reading about in your earlier years in Greenwich Village and just trying to, get your art life started. And you went through some very tough times with addiction, alcoholism, and you've been very honest about that. How does that inspire you, just sharing that? How does that end up on a piece of art?
Yeah, it's overwhelming, the feeling you get when you finally like yourself and you feel confident in this world, that you can touch people and you can receive as well without a filter. And for me, alcoholism was my problem, and it's been 30 years gone, thank God. And then I now have a different audience because of that. Lisa's audience. It's not just the Museum of Modern Art. It's a big world I live in now. I'm not as frightened. I'm willing to be vulnerable and accessible, and I can come up with something that says something as interesting as hopeful.
It's so important, and thank you also for mentioning you are a quite reputable artist with work in museums, and this is just, I don't know, I find it so cool and so hopeful when people can feel so hopeless. We know it's going to be in the Bronx till the end of the month. What's next, Charlie, for this?
Well, the Bronx we're going to try to find sponsorship to continue this program. It has to be in Brooklyn, because where does this happen? In the subways. We have to illuminate these spaces. They're not canyons of despair. They're not canyons of labor and work and exhaustion. Let's illuminate this situation and bring these people hope and an idea that they're going home to something great and they're going to work to something hopeful as well. So I'd like to expand it in the Bronx. I'd like to expand it in Brooklyn, all the boroughs, Manhattan. I just put up 3 40 by 60-foot billboards in Philadelphia, electric, that was sponsored. So well beyond anything I've imagined. And thank you for the opportunity to say that.
You are welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Charlie Hewitt, creator of the Hopeful Project and a incredibly accomplished artist. Thank you for joining us.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you for the time.